This show is brought to you by Whatever You Say Productions, starting conversations since 2018.
Oh man, hello everyone. Welcome and welcome back to episode 20. What are we at? 24? Is that right? Adriana.
Lost count. Yes, I believe 24.
Of Dicks and Politics. Now, of course, I got my girl. How you doing?
Hey girl, it's me, Adriana.
Well, unfortunately, we are not alone. There are men in our midst. CorBen is back, my darling. How are you?
You know, I thought I would try to cross over into this bro time world, and I just want to. I want to be diverse in my range of podcasts. So that's I'm trying to step up my game here.
Okay, all right. Well, CorBen just ruined the surprise. He's going to be doing It's Bro Time with, of course, my Kitlas. How are you?
Doing great. Sitting here on a beautiful evening in New York City. It's a little windy, a little breezy, but spring is in the air. What could be better?
We've never done an intro together, like this combination, the four of us.
Nope.
Yeah, I like it.
First time for everything.
Oh,
Who do we think we are?
Hey.
we have a lot that we need to get through on this episode. So what we're going to do is we are going to completely kick what's burning to the side. No politics for us today. We're going to kick things off with It's Bro Time. We've got Kitlas and CorBen. They're going to be talking about the Kentucky Derby and whatever the hell else they have been keying about for the last couple of days in preparation. Then we're going to get into hashtag. We're going to talk about what's been happening with Britney Spears. Like crazy death threats for her whole family, ruined their Easter. Then we're going to talk about Taylor Swift and her new music video. And then CorBen is here because we need to talk about the whole nonsense.
I'm ready.
Oh, Kate Middleton, Prince William cheated on. Oh, girl. Then we are ending the episode. I'm tickled because Steve from Game Over is coming back to Dicks and Politics to do an endgame review with me. Guys, like, spoilers ahead. You can just turn it off after we do a hashtag if you do not want that to be spoiled. But before we get into the episode, we have a really important announcement to make. And I am, like, feeling a little bit nervous about this. So, Adriana, you and I started this show 6 months ago. Last week, I was sort of sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, man, are we boxing ourselves in? Like, what are we doing with this? You know, we've got this great audience. We've got this great following, great sense of humor, but, like, you know, dicks and politics. It makes us sound like all we talk about is sex and politics. And as you guys well know, that's not all we talk about, especially now that we have Kitlas who's doing It's Bro Time. Like, you know, I guess he could be the dick in Dicks and Politics, but like,
I'm dead.
I'm usually that in the office anyway, so might as well just keep tradition going and alive, right?
There you go. So long story short, we decided that maybe we should change our name. And Ian was like, instantly, he's like, change it right now. It marginalizes you. It doesn't leave any room for killers. Change it. And Adriana, you were like, I have never heard you say this before. What would you want to call it? So we tossed it around, and we finally came up with a new name. So starting in season 3, which is going to premiere on Wednesday, May 15th, Adriana, what is our show going to be called going forward?
At the Newsstand.
And why are we calling it? Why are we calling it At the Newsstand?
Because you can find everything you need at the Newsstand.
Literally. Gum, Twix, sports, pop culture, politics, news, world, everything, science, everything. And CorBen, I want you to touch upon what you said at the end of season 1, because I think that it really, you spoke this into existence.
It was completely, what's the word? It just felt natural to say at the end of season 1, and I'll say it again. The thoughts and opinions we have now do not define us. So you can't come back at us and be like, well, you said this. Well, listen, we're people. We're entitled to change. Our opinions will grow, and we will become more and more educated as time goes on. We may have to go back and correct ourselves and be like, hey, listen, I was wrong. I've since learned, and this is something of value that I feel like needs to change. So as we go on, not only I feel will this podcast change, but certain other items may go along with it, and that may grow with it, because we can't continue to live in the past. I don't know if I'm explaining that to the best of my ability, but I feel like as we grow, so will the show grow.
Yeah, and damn did the show grow. And Kitlas, I think that we all just adore you. And I think that you really brought something to this show that we didn't have before. Dare I call it chutzpah? I mean, Kit, how do you feel about all of this? Because you're in our executive suite, you're in leadership at this company. What do you think of this new change?
You always want a North Star to be moving you and changing and growing. And I'm of the mindset that complacency is death. And as long as you're listening to an audience that is telling you, hey, we like this, we don't like this, and adapting, you're doing the right things. And that's what this is this is taking feedback. This is hearing comments. This is hearing posts and interactions and saying, all right, guys, we see you, we get you, and we want to be with you. We want to be everything. So
Yeah.
that's what this is, folks.
I love it. And, so basically, At the Newsstand is going to encompass three things now. So we've got At the Newsstand, which, of course, is going to continue to come out every Wednesday on all the same platforms. But we also have Oh My God Newspaper. It's literally Oh My God Newspaper. That's what it's called, which is it's a print version of all the highlights of the week. It's one page. We pick 3 or 4 highlights and we give them to you in 5 sentences or less, which is very much in the vein of Dixon Politics. But Adriana has taken over that initiative and she's posting the most incredible stuff. So, like world news updates, not just politics and all the sad things, but all the good things that are happening in the world. And she's posting that every day. And then for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you know all about Slam It with Sam. That is also going to live over on the Oh My God Newspaper account in IGTV. So we're trying to kind of lump all the current events and what's happening in the world into one thing and under one umbrella. And we're excited about it. So we hope that you will, stay tuned and stick with us. It's still going to be us, same type of stuff. It's just a different name. That's all. We don't bite. But look, I am talking way too much. I need to, Adriana, we need to take a seat because these two boys have been having a kiki all week. And I don't know what the hell they're going to be talking about, but we need to hear it. So everyone stay tuned. Let's get into our very first segment. For the first time kicking off the show, it's Bro Time.
CorBen, how excited are you for one of the greatest sporting Saturdays in the calendar year, my friend?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Can we have a truth or truth moment? Now, I've mentioned to you, sports is not my thing, but for you, my friend, I jumped on, did a quick little bit of research, so I feel not quite caught up to date, but I feel ready enough that I could, carry this conversation along with you today.
Brother, allow me to tell you, nobody is ever up to date because once you are, something happens, somebody gets arrested, somebody gets traded, there's an injury, some guy ends up dropping a granite stone on his toe in a shower and he's on the injured reserve. It's ever changing, but here we are on the cusp of Derby Saturday, where you get playoff hockey, playoff basketball, a little bit of baseball, and the best 2.5 minutes in sports, the Kentucky Derby, coming to you from Louisville. Are you excited, my friend?
I'm actually excited. And, you and I, we talked about this. Now, again, like I said, I'm not a sports person. And I was jokingly saying to you, my sport would be going to see what everyone else is wearing. And I would spectate that. And then we can commentate and put bets down on who's wearing what. That, to me, is a sport in and of itself. I find that humorous. I don't know about you, sir.
I love it. People watching is a sport. I'm petitioning for it to be at the 2020 Olympics. We're not there yet, but we'll get there.
And I love how people get so invested in it, too. You know what I mean?
Entirely, and that's one of the greatest things. And let's start off there before we get into who you should be putting your money on. Is let's talk about that attire and what goes on. You want to take us through a little bit of the fun Derby fashions and the fun Derby traditions?
I mean, sure. Let's get into it. And just a quick little backstory for those who aren't familiar with the Kentucky Derby. That started in 1875, and how it really came about was, if I'm not mistaken, it's Colonel Mayweather, Lewis Clark, forms this Louisville, Kentucky jockey club, and he acquires the racetrack from his uncles, John and Henry Churchill. And to think that, again, we are a young country who doesn't have that much history, but to already put down roots in terms of sports and what is going to become a landmark in history just for us alone, and to watch other countries get invested and to put their horses in and to put their bets in. And I think sports, and as I've heard you boys talk about time and again, it's like sports is a unifying component. It's like cooking. It brings people together, but on a different scale. So tell me this: do you have a favorite horse this season?
So I think everyone's one that they had looked at previously was Tacticus, which
Mm-hmm.
it's the favorite right now. But if you started to read the betting lines, not that any of us here are putting any money on it, one of the favorites that's come through is Omaha Beach. Omaha Beach has
Mm-hmm.
already beaten a lot of these horses
Mm-hmm.
in some races leading up to this. It's coming out of Fox Hill Farms and the great trainer Richard Mandela, and they produce winners. At the same time, too, one of the ones that was a long shot, but has moved up quite a bit is going to be Maximum Security. That was one that I think a lot of early favorites, that's what they had their money on. But I'm personally, you're going to put a little bit on Omaha Beach. Going to put a little bit on War of Will.
Mm-hmm.
And there might be one or two other ones that I'm waiting to see how things look when we get a little bit closer, how the odds are doing. That
So
being, go ahead.
That being said, question: tell me, for those who aren't as educated or for those who aren't as knowledgeable when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, how do you decide what is a marketable horse and track record and breeding? Like, how detailed do you think that people go into these things for those looking outside in if they're not a part of this franchise?
Allow me to tell you that there are guys that are looking at what these horses have ran on their whole careers, if they have run on grass, if they've run on dirt. So you're looking at the weather too, and you want to see, like, okay, what horses have run well on wet dirt tracks, which that's what Churchill Downs is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all over the board. And as these odds are ever living and ever changing, I implore all of our fans to keep up and before you place that money down, make sure that you have done all of your research. By research, I mean which horse has the best sounding name, because that's honestly one of the things that I end up betting off of too. I'll be real. There's some fun ones out there. Long Range Toddy is a great one, and
Wait,
I mean,
Long Range Toddy? Where
Long
did they
Range
come up with
Toddy.
these names?
Man, if I had the answer for that one, it would be a lot better. But unfortunately, I don't. So while fans may be hoping to put all their money on win, which is now currently sitting at 25-1 and would be great, I'm personally, like I said, I'm going to stick with Omaha Beach. We're going to dabble a little bit on War of Will, and there's another horse named Improbable who's running at 5-1 odds right now that I like. Improbable.
Which horse do you think, in your best opinion, is on track for the Triple Crown? Because from my brief research that I did, and I remember watching a documentary and a movie on it, Secretariat, back in
Of course.
1973. I mean,
Yeah.
just iconic. And what that horse was able to do in such a limited amount of time. I mean, has there ever been a horse to measure up so young and so quickly coming up through the ranks?
So, and funny enough, the best way to put this is, since Affirm did it in 1978, and obviously you hit on with Secretariat in 73, but since Affirm did it in 78, we went through a drought where there was not a Kentucky Derby winner.
Wow.
Since then, an American Pharaoh did it in 2015. We've had another one last year. Justify ended up doing it in 2018. So we could potentially be looking at 3 Triple Crown winners in the last 5 years, which, again, pretty unheard of before that long drought. So personally, I think Omaha Beach is the horse that's bred up enough to be able to do it. This was a horse that, again, I kind of hit on it before accidentally when I started talking about this, that it's run on grass. It's beaten most of these other horses that are out there in its Breeders' Cup races, and I just, my gut instinct says if there's going to be one who can do the distance, who can hammer home everything after the distance, and what Mandela's done. Mike Smith's a great rider, and if you look at the records, Mike Smith's been riding some very powerful horses over the years. There's a reason he's the favorite. Vegas knows what's up. Vegas doesn't like to lose money.
Right. Well, and then you just said, tying in, like, you can't have a great horse and you have to have a great rider, a great horse, and then you have to have a good team behind that horse, because, I can only imagine, since these horses are basically athletes, the conditioning and the PT and the amount of money that goes into these horses it's unfathomable. I think what these owners pay to keep their horses in such good conditions, because, again, these horses are in a sense, they're like gymnasts. They're so young,
Entirely.
and you're beating them into the ground, and then say they make this title, they're probably not going to go for a second title, and they're probably just going to breed these horses and breed out champions afterwards.
And the other side to look at that too, and you hit on it right, is you have this horse that it's the equivalent of saying, you have a Ferrari and your jockey, the rider, is going to be that engine. You don't want to have $1 million car and have a $20 engine. It just doesn't work out well, and eventually that car's not going to run properly. So looking at with Omaha, you're looking at Mike Smith, who won with Justify. He was the jockey that won on Justify last year to help bring that horse to the Triple Crown. He also sitting there with the most all-time wins in the Breeders' Cup, sitting at 26 wins. So Omaha Beach is going to be the favorite that everyone's looking at down the road too.
What if? I love playing that what if factor, because like you can train and train and train, and then sometimes it doesn't work out, or you miss it by a mark, you miss it by a step. What, I don't want to say it's a repercussion, but what do you think? Okay, two questions. Sure. What do you think would be the repercussion if he does not win, and then who do you think would be the second runner-up to beat him out?
So if he doesn't win the Derby, I mean, it could fall to improbable. Everyone got really on the fence with Maximum Security right away, but Belmont's a great breeder, so who knows? But I would say, going back to the first part of it, if he doesn't win, the horse has still made a pretty good amount of money over the years. So it's something that you need to think of it like that too, that while this horse didn't win the big show, you look at what it has done and you look at the wins that it's put together. But looking at Omaha Beach Lifetime, like, that's a horse that's already won over $1 million. Like, it's earned that trainer. Rich Mandela has earned over $1 million on that horse. So you know that it's been spent a good amount of money to upkeep it and make sure that it was running properly, eating properly, and everything. But the horse is already sitting in the black, which is a good thing for Rich and for Charming Syndicate, which is the breeder.
Now, back to what we had talked about earlier. Again, I think to say someone once told me, dress for the job you want, not dress for the job you have. And when the Kentucky Derby happens, these people go all out. Now, as comparative to our European counterparts when they have their Derby, and I think, we think we're lavish. Like, no, these people go all out. Well, no, because it's true. Like, people are going there to give a good representation, not only of themselves, but the job or the company that they're representing, or the team that they're there to support. And I mean, the looks. I mean, for me, I think fashion speaks a lot to, one, your wealth, if you possess that, and two, can you dress well on a budget? Because I think some of these people, they may not have money, but they're dressing the part and knocking back this booze like it's no tomorrow. And these people get plastered. Well, not totally plastered. I mean, they have to be somewhat, cognizant of what's happening.
So we are by no means the Melbourne Cup, which, if you've never seen pictures of what goes down at the Melbourne Cup, holy shit, Google some pictures of what goes down at the Melbourne Cup, because that is full on us in the English meeting and having a keg of beer in the closet. That
cannot even. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I implore everyone to take a look, because there are some wacky and wild things that go on over there. Having said that, this is full of seersucker, big hats, mint juleps, and talking like you got molasses rolling off your tongue. So,
oh my gosh,
this is what the Derby Derby brings everything to.
Well, and listen, I mean, you're on that right track. And I was joking with someone the other day. It's because Southerners have a... Go ahead.
I cut in. Can you do that again?
See, now it's not in the moment, so now
the effect's not there anymore.
You can't just expect it. You gotta just let it happen now. And I do declare, there's horses running on my track out here.
I can't even. Oh, wait. And I think even the best part about this, I think some people forget how deeply, because we consider Kentucky to be a part of the South, correct?
Or along that entirely. Border.
So it's again, it's one of those things that's so deep rooted in tradition, and we definitely consider Kentucky to be a part of the South, and there's that sense of Southern ownership and pride of like, this is ours. And I was telling Sam, like, being up here in New England, New Englanders are very much like Southerners. Like, if you're not a part of our group, or if you're not one of us, we definitely recognize that, oh, you're different. Yeah, we'll welcome you in, but we'll welcome you in from a distance and at an arm's length. Like, Southerners are very shady about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you go to this Kentucky Derp and they'll be like, "Where are you from?" Be like, "Oh, I'm from Alaska." "Oh, Alaska. Oh, okay." Mm-hmm.
But that's also why everyone looks down on the Preakness, which takes place 2 weeks after this. So the Triple Crown itself is based off of 3 races. You got your Derby kicking things off because there's that Southern properness and that, hey, this tradition, we do it this way. Then it goes to Baltimore into the Preakness at Pimlico. And as someone who's sat there and drank at the Preakness and seen people running across the tops of porta potties while other people throw beer at them, like, that is not at all Southern in tradition. So it is very easy to see why that one's looked down on. And then you have the Belmont, which is up here in Long Island. So it's New York City. It's that Long Island rich aristocracy. Fishing for words that are also meaning just flat out bougie folk. It's like
bourgeois.
Exactly. You go from that proper Southern to that,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate to say it, I lived in the Baltimore area for years, but man, it's a shit show at Preakness, to the upper class and the white napkin, the pinky out of Long Island and the Belmont. So
I think we also know someone who does a pinky out when she drinks a cup of tea or whiskey or brandy. Don't we, Sam?
You're always making fun of me because no matter what I drink, I have my pinky out. I don't know.
Because you're consistent. You're consistent about it. That's what I love about it.
It's a way of life. What can I say?
It's also aerodynamic too, just in case.
She's a natural at it, because I notice it too.
And I've never known anyone to do it so effortlessly too. Like, it's not like she's putting on an act. Like, it is a part of her mannerisms. It is. Like, you can't talk. Like, come on. Where's the lie? Where's the lie in that?
No, there's no lie. I've done it ever since I was a little kid. My parents used to make fun of me for it too. They were just like, "I don't know who you think you are." I'm like, "I am Samantha, motherkin beep 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 beep," and my last name.
Looking at the Derby and sticking specifically on the Derby, one of the most fun parts of this is all the celebrities that are there wearing seersucker and making their bets and drinking and having a good time, which is partially why NBC, when they do this every year, it's Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski dressed to the nines talking about what all the other celebrities are wearing too. So that again is part of this now, that like, what can I do to top whoever else is there? The Kardashians that are there, what can I do to top them? And
also, do you realize like these sport events are places like, where can I be seen? Even if you're not a celebrity, just where can I be seen? How can I use this to my, and it's social networking or just being a socialite. And I was like, hey, listen, I'm all for networking, but you got to be smart and you got to do it. There's a time and a place, and you got to know your market.
Ain't wrong.
Know your audience. That's all I'm saying.
I want to be camera center always, so people know that I got it.
Dead.
Oh my God. Well, guys, thank you very much for taking us through all of that. That was, But, all right, so we need to get into talking about hashtag, because there's a lot of stuff that went down in celebrity culture this week. As we end on celebrities with you guys, we get into them on our end. So join us for our next segment, hashtag.
Hashtag Britney has been trending for a few days now, and it all started when a fan-produced podcast called Britney's Gram had an anonymous caller speak on what's really going on in Britney's conservatorship. He claimed to be a former paralegal for an attorney who worked for Britney's case. Britney was not taking her medications while rehearsing for her Vegas show Domination. Her father, Jamie Spears, threatened to pull the show since she refused to take her medication. After the show was canceled, she was placed into a health facility against her will. Jamie told Britney to tell her team to lie by blaming the cancellation on his emergency surgery. After the podcast episode aired, fans held a protest in downtown LA to free Britney from her conservatorship. What do you guys think about this? Before I tell you my super fan opinion on what's actually going on, what do you guys think about this? Do you think it's true?
No, I think it's reckless. I think it's absolutely reckless and irresponsible, and I think it's ridiculous. No, now I'm all hot. CorBen, you go. I'm pissed.
It's
She
a
is
lot. It's a lot of
livid.
information. Yeah.
Well,
it's a
and
lot.
here's the thing. Britney has shown over the years, and okay, okay, let's back it up. History lesson. The reason why she's in this whole conservatorship. You know, Britney has been in this business since she was a kid, right? And there are not many kids who start out in this business growing to be adults and make that transition successfully. Things happen, whether it be drug or just, you know, the pressures of society or sex and all these variables. She was dealt, for me, a bad deck of cards with her marriage, with her relationship and the publicity, her divorce, her when she shaved her head, and there are a series of things like Amanda Bynes, like Lindsay Lohan, a series of things that made her go, okay, you know what? I cannot mentally handle this. Fine. Her dad steps in. Her family steps in. Her dad gets control of her finances. And honestly, I think for me, that is one of the best things that someone who cares about you can do. Because for someone who has that much money and that much influence in the world, they cannot be trusted. Now, I think Britney has shown to us she can be a responsible adult. Now, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors for her and her family, but she has shown over the years, because she's put her boys first and that's been her priority, that she can be responsible. Now, with this most recent thing of what you've just read, I don't know if it's hearsay, but I know it does not make her look good, and nor does it make the family look good, because she has tied her success into a family business. Can we at least agree on that?
Yeah, we can, but
Yeah.
but the point is this. These were fans. These were anonymous sources, people claiming to be closer to them and closer to the story than they actually were, that were coming out and basically endorsing and confirming that Britney was being held against her will, that she was in some kind of danger, so on and so forth. No, it doesn't make them look good, but like even beyond that, I just think that the people who were spreading those rumors are reckless and irresponsible. Yeah, we've watched Britney go through different phases of her life, and yes, we've watched her have hard times, but much like you said, CorBen, we've also watched her be a responsible adult and stay, for the most part, out of the spotlight. When she's not on tour or when she's not on stage, she is a very private person. So, yeah, when I heard about all this going on, more than anything, I wasn't concerned for her because I know that she's most likely okay. I was just angry at the people that were starting the rumors. Like, what a stupid thing to do. Like,
Well,
what people
yeah.
would do for a buck,
It got
Yeah.
really out of hand too, because okay, so we know Britney Spears has been struggling since about 2007, because that's when she shaved her head and went bonkers, right? Everyone just calls her crazy, Britney, whatever. So she's been under her dad's supervision since then, so it's over 10 years now, right? She's almost 40. So when does she get to have control of her own finances and her own life and stuff like that, right? Fans who are crazy fans were making up conspiracy theories about how he's not really sick, and that's why he told her to lie about domination about his health, so that domination could be canceled so that she can get locked away. They're also saying that the video that she posted afterward to let everyone know that she was okay was fake, because fans were going into Jamie Lynn Spears and her account saying that she was the worst sister in the world. She didn't care. How dare they spend Easter without Britney, blah, blah, blah.
And by the way, we should let everyone know, like, Jamie Spears, who's Britney's father, has been gravely ill with cancer for over a year now. Like, you can't, I'm not going to say you can't, but like, why the hell would you ever fake cancer, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
for them
twisted,
to be like,
yeah.
oh, he's not even sick. They're doing it to control her, blah, 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 blah. I do feel bad because I feel like Britney can't win. She wins because she's the most iconic pop star in the world, and I think that she is more beloved than even Madonna herself, who really paved the way. But essentially, in the public, she just can't win. Damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. Adriana, what do you make of all of this? Wrap it up for us.
I personally do not like this podcast. It's one of the many Britney Spears podcasts that I do listen to, and this one's just like two girls who kind of think they know everything about her, but they don't know shit. Okay, so let's just start there. And yeah, so they're luring in these fans to just get crazy and then come up with all these ideas. And I just think it got way out of hand. People were also saying that her boyfriend Sam is paid to date her.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Paid to like be her guardian angel and stuff. It's just ridiculous, and I don't believe any of it. And until I hear it from Britney's mouth again that she's okay and see her on the stage, then I'll be like, all right. Till then, I'm not gonna believe a damn thing.
When people are bored or when people are not exposed to a lot of stimulation, their imaginations can really get the best of them. And I think that this podcast and the person, the quote unquote source that they brought on, really were hoping to prey upon those types of people and blow this up. That's all I have to say about that. Now, Taylor Swift also came out with her new single called Me with Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco.
Me.
No copyright infringement intended. So we all watched the video as it came out, and Adriana and I both, the second we stopped watching it, we texted each other, I hate it. CorBen, in one sentence, what do you think of Taylor Swift's new single?
I couldn't be bothered. And I don't and I don't mean that as a diss, you guys, but for me, I don't understand the hype. I don't think, and I gotta watch my words here because the Swifties will come for me. Mm-hmm. She is not someone, to me, in the music business who is someone that has there's nothing particularly unique about her. Now, what I will say, what does make her interesting and better than most celebrities is the way she connects with her fans.
Yes, I think Taylor is sort of very aware that there's a certain way she has to go about this in order to really achieve the following that she has and the success and the polarity that she has. And she plays it very well. You know what I didn't like about this song is that it was not thoughtful. You know, even with Taylor's songs that maybe aren't my favorite, I can at least appreciate that she was feeling or experiencing a certain moment or a certain feeling, and that is what was behind the song. I don't get that with this latest single. And sure, like, oh, well, it's just supposed to be a feel-good song and it's about self-celebration. Okay, but
in the 80s and 90s, when these artists would come out with songs, there was a detailed explanation of why they wrote what they wrote.
What is that song giving me to my life? I can't even jog to it. Like, I don't get it. However, I will say, I really do like the music video from a visual standpoint. I thought that it was really cool to watch.
I was gonna say that I feel like this song relies a lot on the visuals, because it's not a great written song.
No, it's not.
And it also relies on the hook because she wanted people to have that stuck in their head all day. Like, Sam, we sing it every day. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of starting to like it just because I keep going me he all day
because it's funny.
Exactly. But that was what she wanted, because now these, especially her demographic, a lot of the young girls, they get that soaked into their brain and they go, Mom, can you buy me the new Taylor Swift shirt?
Well, what I also like about the video is that it bears in mind inclusivity for the deaf community, and as well as people who could be a bit seeing impaired. But okay, sure, fine, thanks, thank you, next.
Nope, don't sing it.
Nope, we're not doing it. So, CorBen, you have some tea to spill, because I am like beyond. So apparently, you guys, Prince William and Kate Middleton, who are celebrating their 6th anniversary today, as we're recording this on Monday, apparently he has cheated on her with her best friend. So
allegedly, we gotta listen, because allegedly, Kate and the Marquess are so upset that they're taking legal action against some of these tabloids who are spreading these rumors. Now, this is not the first time that William has allegedly stepped out of line from his marital bed. Now, back in 2017, he went on a ski trip when he was doing a royal engagement that was 13 days. He was at this club, and he was talking with a brunette-headed woman that was not his wife, and he looked very comfortable and very cozy. That footage went viral. Now, leading up to what's happening recently, a mutual friend of theirs what's her name? Rose Hannaberry, who is the Marquess of, I don't even know how to say this place. It's very European sounding. She recently married into nobility, but she also has connections and comes from the aristocracy. They have, her and Kate have been friends for a long time. And allegedly, I say allegedly, William has hinted at Kate that she needs to distance herself from her because allegedly he was having a romance or a fling with the Marquess. Now, of course, tabloids got a hold of this. And again, it just does not bode well for them. People say, we need to give them a break. But I say, I hate to use this man as an example because I'm not a fan. Our vice president made a comment years ago, about how he refuses to be alone with any woman unless his wife is present in the room. Sadly to say, William's behavior has also not added up to this, and he cannot be trusted, allegedly, unless Kate is in the room. So, did he or didn't he? That's the question. Now, as time goes on and as we see them progress further down the line in the terms of succession, I think we will see he'll either get it or he won't. That's that, ladies.
Well, I have a question.
Tell me.
Do we know? Well, we probably don't. But do we know where the source came from? Because I know that they don't use social media and like Snapchat stuff, so there's no proof of that.
They say it's royal insiders, but what does that mean? Do you remember that there was that whole tidbit with Meghan and why all of her staff was leaving? We found out like later. Oh well, someone's just retiring, or that it really wasn't. It wasn't discord. It was just things come along later down the line and people make it bigger than what it is. And these royal insiders, quote unquote, I don't think these are actually people who know them well. I think like what we mentioned with Britney, it's fans who go based off of a presumption to get a payday. First time you two are speechless.
I mean, you're trying to be nice and accurate, and allegedly, I call bullshit. I'm sure he probably did. Look, and here's what I always say. A marriage is most traditionally, it's between two people, right? And the only two people that really know what's going on in a marriage are those two people. And the only two people who can really make it work are those two people. So whatever you need to do to, keep things spicy, whatever it may, but I don't know, man. I just,
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, I believe it as well myself, but there is nothing solidly stating that,
Fine, but you know what? Here, let me tell you what pisses me off, right? Here's a woman who has lovingly and willingly given him children. Here is a woman that, shares a bed with him and pairs his socks because they don't have staff really that work at their house. Like they do most of their own cooking. They do most of, probably not their own cleaning, but light cleaning here and there. Like
they try to be as modern as possible.
Yeah. But that's what really gets me about this is, I think about me as a woman and all the things that I'm hoping to achieve and the things that I'm building and so on and so forth. And I think about whoever the hell it is that I end up with and how much of a freaking gift that will be to them, that they will have me around to bear their children and share the responsibilities of raising children and maintaining and building a household and doing all these different things. And this goes both ways too. I will, of course, be very lucky to have them as a partner. But like, it's just like for women, are we just not enough? Like, come on. She gives you children. Her body bounces back. She shows up to all the things that she has to show up for because she married into the royal family and she always looks impeccable and she's lovely to everyone around her. Is that not enough?
And might I add, all three of her pregnancies were medically challenging.
Oh, yeah. She goes into the emergency room all the time when she's pregnant because she has really bad morning sickness. And she also has other, conditions that she deals with. Like, it makes me really, really angry that if this is true, How is that not enough? Now, look, I'll play devil's advocate. Behind closed doors, maybe she's unaffectionate. Maybe she is harsh and critical. Maybe she's shrill. Maybe she struggles with depression, which makes her difficult to be around at times. Maybe. That's why I say with my disclaimer that no one really knows what goes on in a marriage except for those two people. But I gotta side with the woman on this one. I think that it's just, if it's true, I think it's bullshit. And this is also what I don't like about modern men today. They think that all they have to do is walk within 500 feet of a woman, and that's the best thing that could ever happen to a woman. No, bitch. No.
Men are trash.
Men are trash. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. After all the things that I personally bring to the table, and you, Adriana, all the things you bring to the table, what, you can't show me some respect? You can't be monogamous? Give me a break. No. Goodbye. I hate
On
it.
that note, we will close this topic.
On that note, happy anniversary to William.
Happy.
We wish you the best in your future endeavors, and we hope you have a long and healthy reign.
Oh my God. Well, that's very nice of us to wish them well. And Adriana, that picture that you posted on Oh My God newspaper, it is
a picture's worth 1,000 words. Go check it out at Oh My God
a
newspaper.
mood. Yeah, go on Instagram and follow Oh My God newspaper. So we're about to get into some spoilers for Endgame. Steve from Game Over is back, and he's doing a huge spoiler thing with me about the Avengers Endgame movie. So if you do not want to hear that, then you can turn the podcast off right now. But if you're curious, then you can join us. So CorBen, it's great to have you back. Stay tuned for our Endgame recap.
Bring it from the top.
Press it on its day. All right. 5, 4. Steve from Game Over, my man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am jacked up, babe. I'm jacked up and ready to go. So first of all, spoilers ahead. We don't care. For those of you who bothered to go see Endgame on opening weekend, which is what Steve and I both did. Oh man, it was so good. So good. So
it's a relief that it's not spoiled anymore. Well,
right.
In a sort of sense, but I saw it, so I got that under my belt. So I'm glad.
Yes. So for those of you who have never seen Avengers, let me give you like a quick rundown. I just want you to imagine a group of people that have absolutely nothing in common with one another. Different ages, different races, different socioeconomic, different everything. But the one thing that they do have in common is empathy. They just want to help. They want to be helpful. And basically all of them have, different powers. You guys know all the superheroes. There's Iron Man, there's Captain America, there's Black Widow, there's Spider-Man, there's the Hulk, there's
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians of the there's everyone, right? So throughout this entire series, they're kind of like fighting, mini battles, and they're all pretty much trying to avoid what they had to battle in this movie. So the movie that came before Endgame was Infinity Wars. So Steve, why don't you give the folks a really quick rundown of that movie?
Yeah, so Infinity Wars, again, was another Avengers movie. So you have all these superheroes coming together to form what they call the Avengers, which is this team to basically fight against the bad in the world. So Infinity War, Thanos pretty much was coming to Earth to collect the Infinity Stones, basically to form this gauntlet in which he were to create this world that is, in his mind, perfectly balanced.
Yeah,
which,
so he wants to wipe out half the population. So there's this bad guy named Thanos who's just a complete dick, and he has this magical iron glove that is perfectly cut out for all these different stones, and he's got one on every single knuckle and then one in the middle, and those are called Infinity Stones, right? So each of them represents a different thing. So Thanos, ever since he has existed, has had this sort of mindset that like he, for the greater good, goes to different planets and basically wipes out half or more than half of the population on that planet. So recently, Thanos set his sights on Earth, and was like, this is where the last Infinity Stone is. Or no, what are they called, Infinity Stones? Am I on crack?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they
they're
are
Infinity
Infinity
Stones.
Stones. So
So
I believe it was
came to get
yeah.
Doctor Strange's stone.
Right, the time stone.
The time stone. So he came to Earth to get the time stone, and everyone, all the Avengers were like, no, like, you can't do that. Unfortunately, he was able to get all the time stones, and then in the next movie, which I guess was Black Panther, right? He was able to get the final stone, which I think was the Soul Stone, which was in
Vision's head.
It was in Vision's head. There's a
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, so like all the Marvel movies, the Infinity Stones were in them in the sense, but they weren't really well known. Each Marvel movie has like these subtle references to these events that essentially all come together and essentially form this movie.
Yeah. We leave off in Black Panther, and everyone has just fought this incredible battle, and all of a sudden people start to evaporate. I don't know any other way to put it. They literally turn into dust. And so the reason that happened was because Thanos was able to get all of the Infinity Stones into his magical iron glove. And with the snap of his fat, crusty, chubby fingers, he wiped out half the population on Earth. Now, that also means that he wiped out half of the Avengers. So we're left with, like, not only is it heartbreaking to see everyone evaporate as everyone else is standing there like, whoa, where'd they go? Where'd they go?
Spider-Man. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Spider-Man holding on. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that one's heartbreaking.
Mr. Stark, what's happening? I don't want to go. And they're up on that damn planet. Oh, my God. And then okay. So I ended up sitting sandwiched in between 5 dads and their 12 sons, all of them between the ages of like 8 and 50. When I tell you, they were sitting down, standing up, cheering, clapping, crying, screaming, kicking, throwing things. They were so into it, and I was amped on it because I was really into it too.
Yeah.
Movie starts off
a year, but then they do fast forward 5 years.
Fast forward 5 years, yeah.
Right.
So you kind of see that everyone is really distraught. They still don't really understand like what's happened to their friends, but unfortunately life marches on as normal. So you are seeing this sort of like dystopian world. It still looks like our world, but cars are piling up and garbage is piling up, and the cities all look different. Like there's a bunch of boats that are surrounding the Statue of Liberty. You hear people having conversations about seeing whales in the Hudson because of climate change, and it's getting whatever.
Wasn't the world actually getting better? Like kind of returning, because again, like you said, the whales were in the Hudson again because of things, less pollution and things like that. So in Thanos' mind was what his target was, to essentially make the world a better place, because in his eyes, he's this god. And that's kind of how he envisioned it.
So you've got some of the Avengers that are sort of scattered around the world, and then you've got Black Widow and Captain America that are still living in, I mean, where are they? Just like upstate New York, sort of?
I believe so.
Yeah, just sort of like just outside the
headquarters.
city. Yeah, the Avengers headquarters, just like upstate New York, and they're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. All of a sudden, they get a message from their intercom. And it's fucking Ant-Man. Now, the last time we saw Ant-Man, he had been sucked into the, like, we need
the
Mike.
Quantum realm.
We need Mike from Microscope to explain to us how this works.
Yeah.
But he was in the quantum realm, which is just this teeny tiny, like, microscopic place that's, like, between universes. It's between whatever. So time and space, like, it just works differently there. So anyways, the reason he was stuck in there was because he was waiting for his mom and dad and his wife or ex-wife or soon-to-be wife, whatever, to pull him out. And when Thanos snapped his crusty fingers, they were some of the people that evaporated.
Right.
So he had been stuck in the Bing Bong for 5 or 6 years.
Which was only 5 hours for him.
Exactly.
Right.
So he finally gets out. And he blasts back into his van, which is now in, like, the armpit of a storage unit.
Yeah.
And he's like, how the fuck am I going to get out of here? So he gets out. He has the little, like, radio flyer wagon, and he's pulling that along. And he stumbles across sort of like a memorial site. And he's looking, and he's like, oh, my God, please don't tell me my daughter's on here. Not my daughter, not my daughter. And to his surprise, he saw his own name.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell? So he runs home, knocks on the door, and there's his daughter 5 years later. And then he's like, okay, well, I've got to go figure out like who else is here, right? So he goes up, and Scarlett Johansson is like, who the hell is at the door? And Captain America goes, is this an old video? And she goes, no, it's now. So they let him in, and they explain everything that's happened to him. And he's like, well, actually, there is a way that we could fix this. Steve, what is the way to fix it? Good old-fashioned what?
Yeah, time travel.
Oh, yeah!
When you get into time travels in movies, it starts fucking with my head so much because I start over-analyzing sort of what happens. If you go back in time and do something, does it have the ripple effect? So
Wait,
that
side
was...
note, have you seen Interstellar?
I did.
Does that movie fuck with you too?
It does.
Oh,
that one
yeah.
was a little bit more explanatory, I guess, in a sense. Mm-hmm. Although with Avengers, I felt like there were holes because I was like, when you start getting into the minutia of what they're trying to do, what does that do to like time? Essentially, they took the time stone from back when was it the first Avengers?
I think so.
Yeah, one of the Avengers before Infinity War, because and they basically narrow it down to certain points where all the stones are going to be in one place at one time.
So they realized that the only way to stop this from happening again and also get their friends back is by going back in time and grabbing all these stones. But the problem is that so in order to accomplish this, there's some sort of like a magical molecular potion, and they only have enough for everyone to take like 2 round trips, and that's it. So like if you fuck it up on the test run, you've only got one more shot, and that's it. So they did end up going up to see Iron Man, who has since like married. What's her name? Is her name Penny?
Penny.
Yeah, has married Penny. They have a daughter, and the Hulk is with them, and everyone kind of goes up, and they're like, "Hey, I think we figured out a way to do this." And he's like, "Dude, no, there's no way. We're lucky enough to have survived. I have a daughter now. It's impossible. I can't do this."
Her name's Pepper.
Pepper. Oh my God, we suck.
Penny was like a Big Bang Theory.
So later that night, Iron Man is sitting there with his little computer, and he's like, okay, run this calculation. And he realizes that Ant-Man was right and the Hulk was right, that it actually is possible for them to go back in time, but they've got one shot. Yeah. So they all suit up. This, that, the other happens. I mean, it was crazy. What I loved, Steve, was that Thor got to go back, not only to see his mom, because that was so wonderful. And I love that she was so unbothered by the fact that she was seeing a future fatter version of her son, and she's like, okay, whatever. But I loved seeing when Loki was in that little prison thing, and I loved seeing Thor. First of all, Thor was what, the dude? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they called him the Lebowski. They were joking on him the whole time.
And so it sort of made me wonder. I'm like, oh man, are they grabbing footage from before, from previous movies, or are they reshooting this? Like, what are they doing? It was so funny the way they did it. And then, of course, when we went back and grabbed Chris Pratt, it was funny to see him again. Like, it was so funny to go back in time. And then, of course, there were more touching moments. What was interesting was someone said it really well. We can't go back and actually change the past. So, like, when we go, we can't be seen. We can't be heard. Like, if we go, like, we have to be in disguise, because if you try to change the past back then, it therefore changes the future for us now and makes it so we don't even exist. So we've got to just be careful, grab the stones, and be out of there. You know what I also loved was when Iron Man bumped into his dad.
Yeah, that was a good.
Stark bumped into his dad. Oh my God.
Was his name Howard Potts, or is that what he ended up going with?
Yep.
Because he never really got to meet his dad, really. Like, you would always see footage of him, and this was sort of, if you've seen the Iron Man movies, to see him start, like, actually have this conversation as almost like this friend of his dad, it was really kind of lightning to definitely watch.
So they go back. They get all the stones. I also really loved when the Hulk went back to see Tilda Swinton, whatever her name is, the Empress of the Bing Bong, whatever. And, he's trying to convince her to hand over the damn time stone. And no, this is for Doctor Strange. Like, I understand you're from the future. Like, fine, that doesn't freak me out. But no, I'm not giving this to you. This is for Doctor Strange. And he is the most powerful sorcerer in the whole universe. And he would never give this up. And Bruce is like, well, then why the hell did he give it to Thanos? And she goes, what? And he's like, yeah, he gave it up on Bing Bong, whatever planet that's called.
Right.
Gave it to Thanos. And that's when she realized, oh, shit, something must have really gone wrong if he, whatever. So they get all the stones, but unfortunately, it was not without cost. Who died in the process, Steve?
The Black Widow. She took the bullet for the team and sacrificed herself. That was for the Soul Stone.
Yeah. And Hawkeye was not happy about it. He was, all of them were devastated.
Yeah, that was tough to watch.
I
thought Hawkeye was going to be the one to jump, and then...
Me too. Well, he was the one.
He was so close.
He was, and then she stopped him, and then he stopped her, and then they're hanging off the side of the cliff, and then she just let herself go, and he couldn't. Oh my God, it was awful.
Yeah.
So they all get back. So now all the Avengers are back. They've all got their stones, but not only did they lose the Black Widow, but they had company. Nebula.
Yes.
Who is one of Thanos' daughters, who's Zoe Saldana's sister. God damn it. So
she's like a cyborg.
Yeah, so she has this thing in her head, and unfortunately, while Thanos was with her, with that creepy, wrinkly friend, and Zoe Saldana, they were able to tap into her brain, and unfortunately, they were able to see into the future. So they saw that she had returned to the planet with, what's that gentleman's name? The gentleman that was with her?
Oh, Quinn?
Yes,
Quill?
yes, with Quill. And Thanos was like, well, you got to go find her. So unfortunately, the past Nebula, who is still hell-bent on satisfying and impressing and earning the respect of her father, was able to like switch this little plate on her head so she looked like the Nebula from the present time. And she time traveled back, and she almost ruined everything.
Yeah, it was close. It was touch and go.
God, she almost ruined everything.
Yeah.
And so what I really enjoyed was seeing Zoe Saldana again and watching what was happening in this movie now, and then also thinking back to the last movie when we last saw her and realizing, oh my God, that whole time when she did this and this and this, she knew what was happening. She knew that people were time traveling. She knew all of this. Like, that was crazy to me.
Yeah, so that's where the time travel starts confusing me. If you essentially take the time stone from wherever it was, how is it that Doctor Strange can be around when in that sort of timeline the Soul Stone isn't really there? Because I know, that's where I started getting all sort of foggy on this time travel aspect.
I think it's because there's two realities that are now existing in one.
Right. Okay.
I think
because that was what Hulk was trying to explain. He says, "Oh, I'll just come back and give it back to you, and it'll essentially be back to normal."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then, when you get to like the ending of the movie with Captain America, they
have to time travel twice.
Right.
That's what it is. But I think at that point they only had enough for one person to go back, and he was the one. I think they were expecting that all of them could go back, but that didn't happen. So Nebula comes back, and because she comes back, that means that Thanos follows. Oh, man. So it's Iron Man and Captain America and Thor.
Yeah.
And they're taking
Thor
on...
with two hammers.
Yes.
He grabbed his old hammer from when he time traveled, so that was awesome.
So he had his original, like, rectangle hammer, and then his new hammer that's, like, half hammer, half axe. So they're going at it, and they are losing. You know, they might get a couple hits in there, you know, here and there, but, like, they are fucking losing. And just when you think, oh, my God, like, something has got to happen, Captain America reaches out his hand, and what flies into his hand but...
The hammer from Thor, the OG hammer.
Now,
it's
why
got a
is
name.
that so significant?
So... it's because now he is worthy enough to hold the hammer, essentially. And when that scene happened, the theater lost their fucking minds.
Lost their minds. People were crying.
It went wild.
And so the reason why it's so significant is because Captain America, he is a superhero, but he's not. He was sort of this gangly kid. He was an underdog, and he enlisted in the military, and they decided to turn him into like a science experiment. So they did this weird, crazy thing to him that gave him these big muscles and these superhuman strength. And so he can jump around a little bit. He's got this shield and whatnot. And the shield is basically like the world's strongest frisbee. So if he hits you with it, you're dead instantly. But, you know, everyone has sort of always been like, oh, like, yeah, I really like Captain America, but he's really not like the rest of them. So this was such a moment that validated that he did deserve it. He was worthy. He is a superhero. And, oh, man, so then just when you think all is lost, and the guys, I mean, like, Iron Man, his suit is, like, beat to shit, you know, what's his face? Captain America is exhausted. Thor's face is, like, punched in. You're thinking, oh, man, this is it. Like, I know that Thanos isn't going to win, but, like, Thanos might win. Like, we might have another battle. Oh, so this is the part that vindicated me so much, Steve, I gotta say. I have been running around all over the United States of America telling anyone who will listen that I predict that Doctor Strange and that Asian friend of his with his magical spinning gold hand are going to be the ones that save the day. And was I right or was I right?
So you get to the battle and you see these portals start opening up and fucking everybody is there.
Everyone was on their feet screaming and cheering, holding on to each other. I am like hanging off of this dad's arm. I was so excited. He's crying. I'm crying. His son couldn't even stand up because he was crying too hard. This kid was like 14 and he had his shirt over his face and he's just crying hysterically into his shirt.
Oh my God.
And while his brother punches him to like, look, you gotta look. So the portals start opening, the gold spinning circle portals start opening, and who walks through but everyone? Everyone that had evaporated.
You got like you got Black Panther, all of the Wakanda, like everybody, the tribes. You got Spider-Man coming in. It was just
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Coming, like everyone. But
yes.
No, the Black Widow did not come back through. She did die, unfortunately, in that timeline. But everyone came in, and it was just a fight to the fucking death. And then, like, it's good to see everyone, but oh shit, like, are they gonna make it? Are they gonna make it? And then who the hell comes flying in but Captain Marvel herself, straight through that ship.
She was gone the entire fucking movie.
Oh my God!
I was like, at one point I was like, did I even need to see Captain Marvel? Because she was barely in this movie.
I know.
And then she finally comes in, so it's like, oh, okay. So.
Yeah, they're like, well, where the hell have you been? And she goes, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you guys. Like, it's not just you that's fucked, it's everyone.
Right.
Anyway, so she flies, she cuts straight through Thanos' ship and straight through all of his creepy alien, those things, those little spaceships that are like
there's like snakes. Yeah,
Ew,
there's like centipede-looking flying things. Yeah.
They are disgusting. Listen to me. My biggest fear, I'm not even joking, I am so scared of caterpillars. I can't.
What?
I understand that they turn into butterflies. I get it. And that's very lovely. And
they move so slow.
I don't like the way their bodies move.
Like centipedes are pretty treacherous because those things you touch them and they just zip across the room at lightning speed.
I don't do centipedes. I don't do millipedes. I don't do caterpillars because you never know. And what I also don't like, when I lived down in Costa Rica, there were caterpillars down there. You didn't know where's its head, where's its ass. You didn't know, which means you don't know what direction it's going to be walking in.
Yeah.
Girl, I was triggered by those little caterpillar centipede movie things. Anyways, Captain Marvel took care of it for me. She cut right through those. She shot them down, and they won.
Yeah. So essentially, the Infinity Gauntlet sort of has two snaps. So there was still one snap to go, and the rush was to try to get the Gauntlet back in time with Ant-Man. They were essentially going to run it back so they could get it away from Thanos. and it is this giant sprint. You have Spider-Man zipping through.
Oh my God.
Getting launched from Thor, getting help from Valkyrie, like
yes!
It was all over the place. Then Captain Marvel comes in, she's like, I'll take it from here.
Oh my God. And everyone's still screaming and crying. So incredible. But of course, they won, but not without peril.
Yeah. So
Iron
essentially,
Man.
Thanos got the gauntlet back, and it was about to happen again, except this time Thanos was like, I'll just kill everybody and start the world as a new beginning, because nobody will have these feelings, because in his mind the perfectly balanced was what it was going to be, but people were still lingering on the past. So he's just like, I'll just kill everybody, then nobody can linger on anything, and we'll just start everything anew. When he got that gauntlet, it was whew. And then of course, do you want to get into it? It's tough to talk about.
I think it was Iron Man who went in and quickly switched
It's almost like a sleight of hand.
Switched his glove with the actual glove, and he snapped his fingers, and he took the full force, the full power of all those stones. And Iron Man, the thing about him is he doesn't have superpowers. He's just really, really smart. And he's a scientist and he's an engineer, so he's able to create these suits. But as a human himself, he already has a bad heart. Like, he just couldn't handle it. So he was able to snap his fingers. Thanos and the rest of his loyal assholes evaporated.
Those two lines between Thanos and Iron Man, he's like, I am inevitable. And then when Iron Man takes it back, he's just like, I am Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Bam! I was like, no!
It was so good. It was so good. And so then, unfortunately, Iron Man is dying. And as he's dying, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, runs over and, Mr. Stark, we won, Mr. Stark. It's okay. We won. And so, when they sort of realize, like, what's happening, like, I think one of the guys kind of comes and gets him and pulls him away, and then as he's dying, Pepper's right there.
You gotta let Pepper get his say in. Get her say. It's her fucking husband.
Pepper's right there, and she says, it's okay, you can rest now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So then we cut to the end, which is a funeral scene, and they're laying him to rest, and as they're panning through the funeral, they pan past every single, major and even some might say like minor character that's been a part of the entire series.
I want to say there was one character, there was a teenage boy
from
Iron Man 2 who basically, that's where he came from, because I saw him, I'm like, who the fuck is that? And then I had to look it up afterwards, and it was essentially the kid like just grown up, so that was a nice touch that they added.
And then the very last person you see is Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Who's the one who assembled all the Avengers, essentially. Yep. And, it makes you think, this is the price that you pay. You go after something that you firmly believe in, and you can be as prepared as one could be, but things can still happen.
Yeah.
But it's whether or not you choose to press forward anyway, knowing that you could be walking into your ultimate demise.
Right.
So, Steve, let me ask you, if you had to choose an Avenger, who are you?
Oh, man, I love Iron Man. Iron Man is so cool. But then I do like Spider-Man, because playing the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game and being able to web sling, it's such like a free feeling that I think would be awesome. But then with Iron Man, like all those different suits you have at your disposal, this mastermind, you're sort of the go-to. And he's just got this, not like a player mentality, but he's just like this hotshot, and he just owns the room. And Robert Downey Jr. just nails his role so well. So I can't imagine anybody being Iron Man aside from Robert Downey Jr. at this point. I'd be the nerdy Peter Parker.
No, but you're not, though, because you're not this scrawny little dude. Well, I guess you're not scrawny, but I guess you are kind of like Peter Parker.
Yeah.
You're very sensitive, and, you keep to yourself. You're a simple guy. You love your wife. You love your dog. You do your job, whatever. But then you do have these things that you're just so passionate about that are absolutely non-negotiable for you. And so, I guess you are kind of like him.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I always thought, I was like, oh, man, if I'm anybody, I'm Iron Man.
Yeah.
But then I realized that I'm not Iron Man.
Who's your pick?
I think I'm Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, the one assembling everyone.
Because look at what I've done with our company, you know?
I
And
agree.
I say this to people all the time. I've said this to you. I do not hire people that I have to teach everything to. I hire people that will teach me something, because even at the very tail end of my career, if someone's like, "Oh, Sam, tell us the secret," I'll be like, "I don't know. I have no idea." And so I think that is kind of my job, to find these people that really add value to each other, and in turn, they themselves become stronger and faster and better versions of themselves. Literally, it did not click until I saw that very last frame in that movie, and I thought, holy shit, that's me.
Now,
Oh, God,
question. This is where I started getting foggy on things.
Okay.
Captain America goes back in time.
Yes.
Does he stay there? He stays there, right?
He does.
So, again, now I'm like, so how does that not fuck up the timeline? Because wouldn't he have essentially lived through Infinity War? Like, all the Avengers movies, all that would have happened in that timeline? Or, again, like you're saying, it loops back together?
I think that that's the mystery. So Captain America, they're like, oh, like Ant-Man's like, let me go back. You know, Falcon's like, let me go back. And Captain America's like, fuck off, I'm going back. Because they only had little bing bong juice for one person. And he's like, get out of my way. The hammer came to me, I'm ready, I can take it. So what he did was he went back, and not only did he put all the stones where they needed to be and whatever, he's so smart that he was also able to figure out a way to do that so that they could avoid, I think, all the wars and all the bad stuff, and so that he could be with the love of his life.
Again, taking Tony Stark's advice and just living a life.
Yeah.
Instead of always being Captain America and having to protect someone. Just gotta enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which is sad to see, you know, that was the whole thing in the beginning, is Iron Man was kind of against this plan because he didn't want to lose what he had. And essentially he was the one that gave it all up to save everybody.
Yeah.
It was very touching. I thought it was a great movie. I definitely want to see it again for sure.
Oh my God. I need to see it like 50 more times.
Yeah.
Oh man. What a film. Steve, thank you very much for doing this review with me. And thank you for coming back to Dicks and Politics. I mean, it is, after all, the show that gave birth to your show, Game Over, which now comes out every Thursday. As much as I love you, my dear, I think this is the point where I need to love you and leave you. I'm feeling nostalgic, and I'd like to close out the show on my own. Dicks and Politics started in November 2018, and it came out of a very dark time in my life. If you had told me that Dicks and Politics was going to give birth to When I Knew, Microscope, It's Bro Time, Game Over, News with Booze, May I Have Your Attention, Fifi's Funhouse, Slam It with Sam, and Oh My God Newspaper, I would have told you to pack your bags and get the heck out of town, because you are crazy. I want to take a moment here to first and foremost acknowledge our listeners. I want you guys to know that I see everything, and because I see everything, that means that I can see all of you. I know that you are between the ages of 12 and 80. 12 and 80, yes. I know that you are a 50-50 split between men and women, and I also know that you are tuning in from all over the world. How incredible is that? That people from all over the world of all different ages want to tune in every Wednesday and listen to a bunch of friends sit around and talk about what's happening in the world. Please know that we very much acknowledge that it is our privilege, not our right, our privilege, to spend every Wednesday with you. And I know that Dicks and Politics is a really funny name, and At the Newsstand is not very funny. A rebranding, it's always a scary thing, but it's still us. Same content, same idea, same segments, same people. We're just spreading our wings a little bit, and we have to because of you guys, because of what you want to listen to. So thank you very much to our listeners. I also want to take some time and thank Hannah and Adriana, who were my original hosts. I'd like to acknowledge all the people at WISP, whether you've been here from the beginning, you came for a little while and then chose to leave, or you are still standing now and you're just joining us. We honestly are having the time of our lives doing these shows for all of you. And I truly think that the best is yet to come. So, with that being said, my name is Samantha. I am the head host of Dicks and Politics. and the CEO of Whatever You Say Productions. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you for listening to Dicks and Politics, fresh, digestible content straight from millennials. You can learn more at dicksandpolitics.com.